Amy, can I please ask you to start?
Yes.
You're welcome to stay sitting down or stand, whatever you want to do. The others stay sitting, but you're very welcome to whatever you want.
Fall asleep, possibly.
Stand up, absolutely fine.
That's all right. Okay, so I'm Amy Browne, and I work for an investment management company called CCLA. And I work in the stewardship team within the sustainability function. Now, until very recently, CCLA only managed money for non-profit organisations, for charities, for churches, and for local authorities. Apart from a few months ago, we, for the first time, dipped our toes into the intermediary market and launched a new fund called CCLA Better World Global Equity Fund, which is why I'm here today. So what's the weird and wonderful idea? Right. So I will start by, it's quite difficult to do because obviously I don't have any visuals, but the World Economic Forum releases a report every year called the Global Risks Report. And in that report, they chart the major perceived global risks and look at them and compare them. And all sorts of risks included, anything from infectious diseases to social cohesion breakdown to terrorist attacks to climate action failure.
Sorry, can I intersect for 2 seconds? Can you push I think your hair might be on your mic.
Sorry.
Otherwise we might switch mics. Yeah, just see if that's, because it's just a little tiny bit
Better?
echoey, I think.
Sorry. This report, yes, so in 2021, the Global Risks Report received a brand new entry. Any guesses? I'd be impressed. Mental health deterioration, for the first time included in the World Economic Forum's report. Now, this is huge. So why is this an economic risk? Well, in reports released by Deloitte, they've found that mental ill health in the workplace costs employers £1,652 for every single employee in the private sector. That is every employee each year, not only those who are ill. And what is more, creating a positive environment for mental health in the workplace costs a lot less than failing to do so. In a report that Deloitte published in 2022, they found an average return of £5.20 for every £1 invested in workplace mental health interventions. That is it's £5.30 actually, that is a 430% return on invested capital. So as investors, this is a gift. This is a gift of an engagement topic because not only can we move companies along the right way, along the right path on mental health, potentially, but we can also help those companies save an awful lot of money along the way. So we started to engage with some of our investee companies, the companies in our portfolio, at the beginning of 2019 on workplace mental health. And throughout 2020 as well, during the first lockdown. And we were told at CCLA again and again that we were the only investors asking questions about mental health in the workplace. This was a completely virgin topic for investor relations departments. So this then gave us the idea to start to, so what we found was that mental health is a structural problem. It's a systemic problem. It's not a company-specific problem that we're going to be able to sort out through one-on-one dialogue with the companies in our portfolio. So that then gave us the idea to start to build a tool for investors to be able to compare companies' performance on workplace mental health. Now, we're not trying to assess how happy companies' workforces are. We're trying to assess whether companies create the conditions under which mental health can thrive. So we've spent, long story short, the last 2 years building a tool which is now known as the CCLA Corporate Mental Health Benchmark, which assesses and ranks 200 of the world's largest UK-listed and globally listed companies. The global benchmark will launch on Monday, which is World Mental Health Day. So does it work? Has it worked? Now, we launched our UK benchmark in May. I just want to give 3 examples of companies which is so encouraging as investors, and especially in the stewardship role, when you see companies using the information that you've given them to improve. And really what we've seen is that the benchmark that we've launched and created is really strengthening the hand of those within organizations who are trying to make headway on mental health. So one example, NatWest, right? So in the benchmark, we have 5 performance tiers. NatWest called me up and they said, so we've looked at the benchmark and HSBC, Lloyds, and Barclays are all higher than us, all rated better than us in this mental health benchmark. We've now got the top executive listening, and we need to know what to do to improve. One other example, BT, their chief medical officer has targeted a non-executive director to hold the chief executive to account on mental health and using our benchmark as a tool. So finally, we've launched an investor statement on workplace mental health. Royal London Asset Management is a signatory, thank you very much. So any other investors who wish to join the collaborative engagement on mental health, please come and find me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So timely, given COVID and everything that's around at the moment. Brilliant. Yuko, can I ask you to?
Yes, sure. I'm going to do it sitting down because it's just too late in the day. My name is Yuko Takano. I'm
is your mic?
portfolio manager at Pictet Asset Management. We just launched in June.
Oops. Yeah.
A fund called Positive Change. We're a global equity fund with an impact edge. We have a proprietary tool that measures SDG alignment, and it's an in-house developed tool that uses natural language processing to see which companies are most aligned to the SDGs and which companies have room for improvement. And our aim is to find the companies with the best return opportunities while carrying out their positive impact on society through its products, and not necessarily because they plant a lot of trees or build schools that are kind of unrelated to their business. So we really focus. Within this fund, one of the areas that we really like is innovation in the food chain, and the area within the food chain. We just heard the FAIR presentation, which was super interesting. But for us, we think a lot of the innovation goes on within the flavor and ingredients companies, because they are actually the ones that provide the key ingredients that go into the products of the food manufacturers. A lot of these companies are shifting as the consumer trends shift to more natural and organic flavors and ingredients. What is more interesting right now, though, is previously what happened in this industry is that, like a company like Unilever or Nestle would give these companies a brief and say, I want this type of flavored water, or I want this kind of formulation. Can you come and give me that? And so there would be a competition where, 3 or 4 of these companies would kind of basically present their ideas, and whoever seems to be the best candidate wins. But I think that the companies are taking one more step forward right now, where they are basically providing more holistic solutions to the food companies. So it's their kind of strategy has shifted quite significantly over the past couple of years. One of the examples that I can give you from one of the companies that we own is that this company was mandated with a menu reconstruction of a restaurant chain based on that company's sustainability targets. So, this is different from developing a particular flavor for a particular type of food. They had to look at the entire menu and think about things like, the sodium content of the food, or calories, or how much of their proportion of their based. And so they would take all of these different elements in and propose a brand new menu for that restaurant, which satisfies their sustainability needs. And I think that this was, obviously very company, because eventually it will lead to higher volumes and higher margins. So financially, it's very positive, but also from an impact perspective, they're doing a lot more now than they were before. That's one area that I'm very excited about.
where you get the both benefits together. That's that
Yeah.
magic spot
Exactly.
we're all kind of aiming for, if you like. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And Mike, I'll give you the last word of the day on the ideas front before I wrap up. So please.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you for the presenters as well. It's great to see mental health being taken so seriously as well. It's a great shame when I came into the workforce that it wasn't treated in the same way, but that's changed a lot. I keep my comments pretty brief, really. I think, in terms of new ideas and discoveries, what I've discovered recently is how pessimistic everybody is. It's it's remarkable. We have lots of clients, we talk to lots of people, and, we work in the investment industry ourselves. And, there's almost as little faith in the future as I can kind of remember, really. And, I do appreciate that after you come through a pandemic and you walk into a war, it's pretty depressing stuff. But, my grandmother passed away a long time ago. She was born in 1903, and she lived through the First World War, 14 to 18, and then they had a pandemic themselves. When she died in 2003, in a positive sense, the world was completely changed, and she lived through another world war in that time. And, I think it's especially sitting in a building like this, you kind of realize how permanent the world is and how great it can be. And, I think one way to try and detach from, short-term pessimism is this idea of atoms, bytes, and genes. So basically, everything in the world is one of those things. If you're a living thing, you're a gene. If you're a digital thing, you're a byte. And if you're a physical thing, you're an atom. And if you can encompass the world in that way, and you look at those kind of three strands, you do get a sense of how the world has changed. So if you take, genetics, for example, we couldn't even sequence a gene till the year 2000, and now you can, do it for $200 with a machine you can, buy from a company in the US called Illumina. And, we're only just opening that world up to understand how you can change genetic profiles and do things that actually could resolve many of the societal issues that face us. If you think about the atomic world, atoms, you think about semiconductors. So, when I was a kid, I had a Spectrum 48K and thought it was the most remarkable thing I'd ever seen in my life. And you think how far that's gone in, I'll give away my age entirely, but 40 plus years. And we carry around phones now that are supercomputers, and you think, well, what on earth is that going to be like in another 30, 40 years? And, that's all happened with semiconductors and the ability to manipulate things at an atomic level. And it kind of feels like we're very much in the early stages of that. And then if you take bytes, the digital world, again, probably the pandemic was the most visible accelerant of the digital world that we've all seen. And, many of us probably will never go back to being in an office 5 days a week. Again, when I started work, you were in 5 days a week. If there was a train strike, you were expected to walk 10 miles to get to work. There was zero excuse. And now, there's a train strike, and it's, oh, what a relief. I don't have to go in tomorrow. It's completely changed. So, whatever the next derivative of the digital world is, who knows? People get excited about the metaverse. It doesn't really float my boat, if I'm honest with you. But probably when I saw an iPad for the first time, I just thought, well, that's just surfing the internet. So, conceptually, it doesn't mean you get things straight away. But I think if you take this kind of atoms, bytes, and genes construct to life, and you look at the developments in each of those areas, there's profound reasons to be optimistic about the future. And then if you think about the challenges that we face today societally, and you think about, again, my parents, tell me interest rates were 15% when I was a kid, and, at the moment we're stressing that they're going to 5%. These things are manageable, they're dealable with. So, I think the discovery I'd like to kind of leave is optimism. It's okay to be optimistic. It's okay to think the world's going to be a better place in 10, 20 years' time. And if you're an investor, that's the theme you're playing into. And, the future has always been worth more than the past from an economic standpoint and a social perspective. And I just bear that in mind. So when we all go back to our desks and it feels like the world's ending, it hasn't up to now, and it probably won't this time. So, yeah, I think optimism is the discovery I'd kind of like to leave.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Again, a really nice, diverse session. Thank you so much. What springs to mind after those 3 sessions is I hope we'll feel thoroughly nourished, and we've looked after, food and the way people eat, and really, we all need to eat, right? And minds, I mean, our brains, boy, have we taken a battering lately, but a lot of people, always have, but, right now, how high profile is mental health stuff? And Mike, keeping our feet firmly on the ground, thank you. Let's be optimistic. There is loads of bad stuff out there, but guess what? Previous generations had it way worse. So I think on that note, I'm going to say I feel very nourished. I hope you all do. Can we just thank the speakers, please?